Archaeologist's log. Day 7. The Black Gate. I awoke inside the underground castle, on a stable portion of the upper floor, where I had fallen asleep after some late-night research. I remembered that I had sent word to the local authorities about the mysterious Black Gate found within the castle's northeast tower with some tavern patrons. I hope that they receive that word, and sooner than later, as I fear that all of these strange occurrences will be coming to a close in the near future. Just then, the princess approached. She was positively glowing as she gracefully walked toward me, with a big smile. Gently, she kissed the cheek on each side of my face before slowly leaning back. Once again, I found myself consumed by the princess's green gaze, her eyes now glimmering in the castle's magical lighting.
Hail, kind archaeologist. Please allow me to again apologize for my not being able to escort you personally into this horrible bog. I say, again, as I trust that you found my book and letter?
I replied. Fear not, princess, for I indeed found the book and the letter. I must also say that I was touched by the gesture of having such a precious heirloom left within my care. And please, call me Haroldissimo. Her eyes lit up as I reached into my backpack, gently lifting the tome out and returning it to her care. She clasped the novel, holding it tightly against her bosom. After breathing a long sigh of relief, she began to speak once more.
Thank you, Haroldissimo. I am glad to find you well. I had been most worried when my aunt, the fortune teller, had a very dark vision of things to come, before performing your tarot card reading. This is a fascinating discovery. It appears as though these plants have completely consumed the rock foundation of the pyramid. This is also most certainly the same pyramid as the one in the painting of the jungle, which I have studied many times.
Yes, and it gets worse, I'm afraid. I was up late studying the findings of the crew, which included various texts and journals once kept by a madman who lived within this castle. What I discovered within them is absolutely incredible. As it turns out, it is in fact completely possible that this pyramid is the same one that was found in the southern jungle, for you see, this pyramid is actually a ship that the madman came across in his travels. As the story goes, it was on a particularly stormy night that this apparent madman was sailing from the Marble Island to the north, when up in the clouds he saw this very pyramid floating through the air. He pursued it, until eventually it crashed into some mountains, resulting in the giant structure falling to the earth and, finally, landing upright. Alas, once he decided that it was stationary, he hurried back to the castle to gather supplies to conceal the discovery. His next act would earn him the title of madman, for he trapped a witch of the bog and forced her to place a horrible curse on the vines of the region, causing them to grow exponentially fast and devour anything they touched. He returned to the pyramid, and, using the vines, successfully concealed it from the public eye. It seems that he then found a way inside through a crack it had obtained from crashing into the mountain. A crash, which normally would have obliterated such a structure, save for it having been crafted out of a strange, black rock material, which he writes is extremely dense. Once inside the pyramid, he found himself trapped by the very cursed plants that he had used to hide it, and was forced to eat them in order to survive. He had been trapped inside for several weeks, unable to cut through the vines with only a dagger on his person. It was this scenario which pressured him into reviving the ship, piloting it back to the castle, and scraping the vines off on the side of the mountain on his way to allow him to leave. Unfortunately, after several weeks of rain in the region, the weight of the heavy pyramid forced the castle deep underground, where it has remained since. Over the following weeks and months, the madman studied the pyramid in solitude while tunneling his way back into the castle. Eventually, he realized that the power source of the pyramid is the very black rock that it is apparently made of, although at this point, the vines have completely consumed the pyramid's exterior. Finally, it appears as though he used the power of the black rock to create a large black gate, capable of traversing the stars. We know not what happened to the madman after that, except for that he was apparently using the gate to obtain riches from beyond the stars, hoarding them into this very castle. I looked over, realizing that the princess had been paying close attention to my every word. She reached out and took my hand, and at that moment, I had a terrifying vision of things to come.